What's up, everybody? Sam Smyers here. Today, I wanted to show you how to make the lead to Gimme, Gimme, Gimme by ABBA. Now, before we get started today, if you're watching this video, then you have probably seen some of my other videos. So please go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. And also, please go ahead and give this video a like to help with that YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, this is such a classic sound that I want to try and remake it in Serum. And I was doing some research on ABBA to see what they actually used to make this lead sound. And I found some websites like Reddit saying that ABBA actually used this synth called the Arp Odyssey. So I was taking a look at the Arp Odyssey and trying to get some ideas on how the actual synth was made and what kind of components it had. And so basically, it has two oscillators. You have the option to choose between like a sawtooth wave and then also a pulse wave or a square wave. So you can see that on this synth here. This is like an image from reverb.com. I guess somebody is selling this old synth. And basically, you have two of these oscillators. You've got a white noise generator and then some LFOs. So basically, knowing those parameters, I'm going to try to use that to my advantage when I try to remake this sound in Serum. And this is usually something that I like to do when I am remaking a sound, is try to figure out when the sound was made and also just Google to see if anybody has any ideas on how it was made, because that might tell you what synths were available, or it might just tell you what they actually used. And sometimes you can actually find a tutorial or a video of them using the synth, and then you can try to figure it out from there if you want to like recreate the sound in another synth like Serum. Let me just first show you the melody for the MIDI. And this is just going to be the string layer because there is a string layer in the actual song underneath this synth. And you can use like a contact sample library, or you can use like another synth, but this is just going to be the melody with the strings. So the strings that I'm using is going to be from this contact library called String Ensemble Symphony Series. It's like these epic sounding strings. And I think it sounds really good just layered on top of this synth that I made in Serum. So this is just going to be Serum now. This is just like a saw wave, just so you can hear the melody a bit better. So now the first thing that I want to do is I want to put on a saw wave. We could use the default, or I could just go to the basic shapes and put on the saw wave for oscillator A. And then for oscillator B, I'm going to put on a square wave and then actually raise it up +1 octave. And that's essentially what that's going to sound like. I'm going to add some noise. I like to use this organ noise. It's like a white noise, a bit dirtier than a white noise. Here, I'll just solo this. So that's what that white noise sounds like. Let me turn these back on. Now that's going to be pretty bright, so let's go ahead and add on our filter. Let's just do this MG Low 12 filter and raise up this cutoff. And I'll turn on for A, B, and also for my noise and raise up this drive a tiny bit. And I'll just slow down the attack on the envelope a tiny bit, just so that there isn't like a click sound at the beginning. And then I'll turn my voicing on to mono because this is like a lead sound. And now it's going to sound pretty boring. So we need that wiggle or that vibrato, and what I'm going to do to add that is go to my LFO1, set this to trigger and raise this rate up to 1/16, and I'm going to go into my matrix and I'm going to add this vibrato using some pitch modulation and then also some amp modulation or like some gain modulation in the actual volume. So let's do my source LFO1, that's going to be this LFO1 here, and I'll set the amount to 2. And I'll set the destination to this global master tune. Click on this arrow so it goes both ways. Now listen to what this sounds like. So that's not what we want. We want it to be a little less, we want it to be more subtle. So this output, if you lower this, then it almost lowers the intensity of this modulation. So listen to what happens as I lower this output. So I'm going to lower it to about there. And then I also want to add on some amp modulation. So I'm going to do this LFO1 again and set this amount to, let's say, 25, and the destination to this global amp. And set this arrow, click on it so it goes both ways. And I'm not going to adjust the output there. I like the output at 100%. And I basically have that wiggle now. And that's essentially the sound. I'm just going to cut off some of that low end by adding an EQ. I go pretty high with it. That's around 400 hertz. And then this reverb sounds pretty good, actually, this hall reverb. And I'm going to put that at about 40%. So that's a pretty high mix of that reverb. Now if I just play some random notes on my keyboard, I mean, that's kind of a really cool vintagey sounding, analog sounding synth sound. So let's play that with the string sounds now. So I did actually make another variation of this sound where instead of this MG Low 12 filter, I used like a Band 24 filter. So you could even do something like that and then also maybe just use like a sine wave. And that gives it a bit of a rounder sound, but after looking into the actual oscillators that are on that Arp Odyssey, I saw that there wasn't actually an option for a sine wave oscillator, or I mean, I don't have the actual synth myself to actually look and see if there is one, so that's why I just used the saw wave instead. And it's a little bit harder to hear how it's made in the actual song because the song has a couple more layers like the string layers. But I think either one, if you use like a sine wave or a saw wave here for that oscillator A, that lower oscillator, you'll achieve that cool lead sound. Now, if you do just want to grab this preset, I'll put a link down below so you can grab it for free. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also please subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. And if you'd like to check out any of my Serum preset packs, I'll put links down below for those as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.